Alright gamers, you are watching a new episode of What You're Gaming On, where we start every episode by asking you, the viewer, the listener, what are you gaming on? Let me know what game you're playing and what you like about it, what you don't like about it. You can let me know in the comments of this video, on any of my social media, or you can email me at whatyougamingon@gmail.com. Tell me what you're gaming on. Tell me what you like about it, tell me what you don't like about it, and your answer will, 100% will be featured in an upcoming episode of What You Gaming On. This is a special episode. We're not going to be talking about what I've been gaming on. We're jumping right into the topic of part 2 of my E3 2018 highlights. If you want to go back and check out part 1 that came out last Friday, you go ahead. I'll put a link for it in the video. You can go check that out for part 1. But we are diving right into part 2 of my highlights, and we're starting with the Sony PlayStation conference, which every time I've tried to watch Sony's conference, there's been something that it just was not an enjoyable experience to watch. Like, there was the one year that it was just like they showed the few games, and then it was basically just the business dealings of, you know, our stock market is this, and their weenus is this, all, you know, money business terms that I don't understand them. So, like, I literally turned it off after an hour of that, and it didn't seem to be going anywhere that I wanted to go. And then this year was very different in the fact that they did something I wasn't really into, but it was definitely different from doing like a business presentation. They made their conference more of like this experience, this quote-unquote experience. Like, it starts off and the announcer for it is like, welcome to church, and this counts as your Sunday mass. And then you listen to this guy play a banjo for like 10 minutes, and then they jumped into a trailer for Last of Us 2, which actually, like, when they opened the trailer for Last of Us 2, we saw the setting, and it was very similar to the setting they had built. So I was like, oh, I get it. They're making it a little more atmospheric and like building the tone of this game so that I guess players will feel more that they're connected to it because they're sitting in the same place that the trailer seems to take place. But and then after that, they moved to another location. They moved the conference, and everyone's sitting there to another location. So there was just a 10-minute intermission for just no good reason. I don't know what Sony was doing. I appreciate what they were trying to do, but it didn't work for me. But anyway, so the first thing they showed was a trailer for The Last of Us Chapter 2, which, honestly, this game wasn't a big highlight for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to it. I like The Last of Us series, or I like The Last of Us. It's a fantastic game, and it's one of the few quote-unquote horror survival games I can actually get myself to play. But just overall, the trailer, it did nothing for me, but it's a huge deal. I know it's a huge deal for everyone, so I felt like I really had to at least touch on this. But the sad truth of it is it didn't show me anything new. There was what we saw, I was like, yeah, that's The Last of Us. That's The Last of Us gameplay. It looks exactly the same. Whether it is the same or not, if the mechanics are different, then when we finally get the chance to play The Last of Us Chapter 2, maybe it'll be different. But from what I saw, it looks almost exactly the same. But it did give us some new story elements, specifically about Ellie. And Ellie is, of course, grown up now. I think I heard that she's 19, and she seems to be part of a community that it's a happy place for her. She seems to have her girlfriend. She has friends. Joel may or may not be there. There was mention of someone mentioned to Ellie her quote-unquote old man, so maybe that's Joel, maybe that's actually her father. I know there was talk about her father is like a member of the military and the government that's trying to keep the country together after this outbreak, so maybe it's her actual father, or maybe it's Joel. I hope it's Joel. I really like Joel as a character. I definitely want him back, him and Ellie back together, so hopefully that is Joel who they're talking about. But she seems to be in a good place, and they juxtaposed that kind of good place that she's in to just the incredibly brutal violence of the gameplay of the world of Last of Us 2, of her sneaking around, her hiding from different enemies, taking them out. So it definitely showed a little bit more story elements, but we don't know where those story elements are going to go. We don't know it, because from one of the trailers, it seems this game is about her revenge against someone. And maybe it's because these people destroyed that community. Maybe they killed her girlfriend. Maybe they killed Joel. We don't necessarily know just yet. But it looks great, but it looks like The Last of Us. Like it's a game. It looks like The Last of Us. But I just wanted to touch on that. And the next thing from the Sony conference was Spider-Man. So this is a game that I'm really looking forward to, and it's coming out in just a few months. I'm super excited for this game. I'm mostly because, I mean, one, it's Marvel, it's Spider-Man. I love both of those things. I'm also really excited to finally have like a strong game from Marvel that can stand next to like the Batman Arkham series, which was such a good series of video games. But the gameplay and the story elements that they showed for Spider-Man was this mass breakout at the Raft. And it looks like most, if not all, of Spider-Man's big enemies broke out of the Raft, and like they gang up, they like team up, and they practically take Spider-Man down. Like he gets hit in a big way, and it's kind of just like, oh no, like what's gonna happen? And we do know the main villain is going to be a villain called Mr. Negative, which I don't know if he's from the comics or not, but they did have others there, like Rhino, like Scorpion, like Vulture. They also had, it was either Electro or the Shocker. I feel like those two characters are too similar for me to really like separate, but they had Electro and or the Shocker as one of them, and then Mr. Negative. So it looks like Spider-Man's gonna have his hands full in this game, that in this open world huge game swinging around New York. He's gonna have a lot of villains to go up against and put back into the Raft. So it looks great. I'm looking forward to it. The fighting looks a lot of fun. It's kind of all over the place. I can't even imagine how the controls for that game are going to work, because it looks insane. I'm excited about it. But that was my highlights for the Sony. They also did a big trailer, or a big like gameplay trailer for Death Stranding, which I know to a lot of people it's a big deal, that it's this very renowned video game creator, and it's Norman Reedus, and everyone loves that. But this trailer, I have a pretty solid stomach for gore. I don't like horror just because I don't like suspense and I don't like being scared, but like for gore and just for uncomfortable images, I like to think I have a pretty good stomach for it. But like the image literally opens with the camera or the viewpoint in like a woman's uterus or her womb or just her vagina, and you see the baby like full on inside her, and it like just starting that was just very uncomfortable. And then there's a scene where this guy's peeling off his own toenail. I'm like I said, I like to think I have a strong stomach for just uncomfortable images, but that's apparently my line. Like Death Stranding was just apparently the line that it was too much for me. So I already knew this game was going to be really weird and really just weird, and I never had an interest in it. And now my interest for this game is even further away. Like I don't even want to pass this game sitting on a shelf in a store. Like if I see that, I'm gonna cross the aisle and not even look at this game. It looked weird, but I know it's a big deal for a lot of other people. The trailer for it it was weird. But anyway, so now let's jump into the Ubisoft presentation, which was one of the ones I was personally looking forward to in E3 2018, and they showed off a big trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2. And it looks, the cinematics that they showed look amazing. I'm super curious about this because I admit I have not played Beyond Good and Evil. I own it. It's sitting on my Xbox, but every time I've tried to play it, it didn't really grab me in. But seeing this trailer, I kind of want to play it. Like it looks really interesting. And it's completely different from what I imagined Beyond Good and Evil was. I didn't know that it was like this big space opera kind of deal. Is that something in the first game? Because I didn't get far in the first game. I was on a boat. in just a world. I know there's aliens or something. There's a lot going on that I just didn't understand. I even looked up the story for Beyond Good and Evil, and it kind of lost me. So it's a game that I really want to learn more about, and maybe I'll make myself play it before the Beyond Good and Evil 2 comes out. But it looks amazing. The cinematic trailer looked amazing, but I had no idea what was going on or what anyone was talking about. But it looked cool. From what I came to understand, it was supposed to be a prequel. Right? It was like Beyond Good and Evil 2 was supposed to be a prequel, just like Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel to Red Dead Redemption. But from this trailer, it looked a lot more like it was a sequel. It looked, like I said, it looks great. I want to get into it, but from watching the trailer, as cool as it looked, and as much as I wanted to know what's going on, I had no idea what was going on. So that's a game I'm going to have to really invest some time into and get myself to finally play it, which I've heard nothing but good things about it, or rather I've heard only that it's a good game. So moving on, we've got The Division 2, which is something we knew was coming. That was like soft. It was like there was like a soft announcement of it maybe a month or two before E3 2018, but we've got our first look at it. And right off, just saying this right at the beginning of my spiel about it, it looks everything like I wanted from a Division 2. So Division 2 is taking place in Washington, D.C., or the ruins of Washington, D.C., as the dollar flu, the green poison, the kind of unknown strand of smallpox has kind of... The virus itself has run its course, has run itself out. The people who were affected by it are gone, and the people who are left are the ones who weren't, who were the small percentage of people who weren't affected by it. And it looks like there's a strong theme of rebuilding, of the dollar flu's done, and now it's time to rebuild. And there's Division agents in the ruins of Washington, D.C., and they're trying to restore government. They're trying to restore the United States government, which makes sense since they're Washington, D.C., and I'm sure there's a lot of bunkers where politicians have been kind of hanging out while this dollar flu thing goes on. So it makes sense they're going to be in Washington, D.C. trying to restore government, but there's already in its place either the actual government or a corrupted criminal organization has kind of run the government of DC. Something in it is corrupt. Something in it is bad. Something in it is corrupt. So just like we had like the Rikers and the rioters and the cleaners in Division 1, it looks like there's going to be the factions that you're going to be going up against in DC are more of a corrupt kind of government who are doing bad things, that you're going to be a division agent and you're going to go around stopping these things and restoring government, restoring order, which is the big thing that division agents do. So not only is it a new setting, it's also a new season. Winter and the holiday season and winter is a big theme, is probably one of the biggest themes in the Division 1, that it's always snowing, it's always cold. Even in the survival DLC, the cold blizzard that you're going through is a big element of it. So that was a big thing. And something I wanted from Division 2 was a new setting, which we're getting. It's Washington, D.C. It's not my favorite city in the world, but it's a new setting. And it's also a new time of year. So it looks like it's going to be summer. So instead of dealing with the cold, you're going to be dealing with the heat, and it's going to be very hot, especially with just things not working, things in the world not working. It's going to be very warm. So obviously the clothes that you're going to be wearing, the inventory that you're going to be wearing is going to be very different. Instead of wearing, this heavy jacket and a hoodie and a t-shirt and a knit cap, you're going to be wearing other kinds of things. It looks great. There's also a jungle in it, which I wasn't aware there was a jungle near Washington, D.C. Maybe it's just a heavily forested area that looked like a jungle, but it did. It looked like they're in a jungle. So just setting aside with everything that they showed, it looks exactly what I wanted from a new Division game, a new setting, a new time of year. So I was worried that Division 2 was just going to be more of New York, which, don't get me wrong, New York's great, but it was just going to be more of New York, more of winter, this endless winter in the Division. Gameplay wise and new features, it's something that they announced is that they're adding raids. I think they said 8-player raids are going to be added for Division. They're also going to be giving out like the first 2 or 3 episode DLCs or whatever DLCs, whatever they call the DLCs. I believe they said they're going to be free, which is great. That's a great thing. So Division 2, looking forward to it. I really enjoyed Division 1. I still kind of enjoy it, except I feel like after you beat the main story campaign, there wasn't much else for me to do because I wasn't that much into like PvP or doing raids. Or when I tried to do raids, we failed miserably. So I haven't picked it up in a minute. I did recently, and that's what you're going to be watching during this video. But I do. I like the Division, and I'm looking forward to the Division 2. Okay, so with all of that aside, now let's jump into the newest Assassin's Creed game, which is actually coming out in October or November. I don't remember exactly which, but October or November, so it's coming out soon. It's the newest addition to the Assassin's Creed series, and it is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And it takes place in ancient Greece. And here's the kicker: it takes place 300 years before Assassin's Creed Origins. So some things that they have confirmed for this game is it's the same present day character. So you're still going to be playing the character of Layla Hassan in the present day story of the Assassin's Creed, where last we left her, she was meeting with Miles. God, what's his name? Miles, whatever his last name was. Desmond Miles. You were meeting with whatever. You're meeting with Mr. Miles. She's meeting with Desmond's dad, and she's assumably joining the assassins, the actual assassins, after her time as Bayek in her own little animus, and she learned the skills of the assassins. So same present day story character. The gameplay they showed, just about everything they showed looked exactly like Assassin's Creed Origins. It looks like it's the same graphics. It's the same. It was even the same finishing moves as a character in the game when you took someone down. It was the same finishing moves as you saw in Assassin's Creed Origins. So it really does just look like the same exact thing as Assassin's Creed Origins, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It also, like, from the gameplay they showed, there was a lot of walking, so I'm kind of hoping that they've, like, re-added the default walk instead of just the default run. I just prefer that in Assassin's Creed games to just running around the entire city looking like an idiot. So hopefully that's something they've added. But the big things that are very different from Assassin's Creed Origins. So first off, you are choosing your character. At the beginning of the game, you get to choose whether your assassin will be female or male. And this is the character you will play throughout the entire game. So it's not like Jacob and Evie where you can switch between Jacob and Evie, but honestly, Jacob has the lion's share of story missions. No, you get to choose if your assassin is going to be female or male. They've also added in the kind of mechanic for making players making story choices throughout the game. So, and they've also added romance, which they said that whether you're female or male, you can romance whichever character you want, or whichever characters are there to be romanced. It doesn't matter if you're female or male, you can romance them. So already Assassin's Creed is seems to be taking a lot and learning a lot from companies like BioWare or Telltale, where, player choice and romanceable options are a big deal for those companies. So those are the new things. Now, as for the story is really where my biggest questions and concerns come from. So you are apparently you're a Spartan. You are a Spartan. You are from Sparta, just like Kratos, just like Leonidas in 300, which I'm going to talk about the 300 movie in reference to this game in just a moment. But you are the grandson or daughter of Leonidas, or you're his descendant of the king of Sparta. If in fact that's how those events in 300 played out. I don't know how historically accurate 300 is, but you are the descendant of Leonidas, king of Sparta, and your weapon, or one of your weapons that you're going to be using a lot, is the broken spear of Leonidas, and it acts as kind of a sword or a dagger. And I'm wondering if this spear is the same one that was used to cut Xerxes at the end of 300. Again, Don't know how historically accurate that movie is, but at the end they threw the spear and it cut Xerxes, and it was like, I made a god bleed. So you have the broken spear of Leonidas. I'm guessing that this spear is a piece of Eden. I'm guessing that is going to have some kind of first civilization mechanics and uses, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like a piece of Eden, maybe even the first piece of Eden. I'm also wondering if that spear, if that weapon will act as your hidden blade. I don't know if hidden blades are a thing, especially since this game is taking place 300 years before Assassin's Creed Origins, where the assassins were founded, where the hidden ones were found, which that just opens up so many other questions of how is this an Assassin's Creed game about assassins if it's before even the first organization of the Assassin's Brotherhood, of the Hidden Ones Brotherhood, of the Assassin's Creed. Which I have a theory on that. So with wondering if the Spear of Leonidas is going to be a piece of Eden, and the fact that it's taking place in ancient Greece, I'm wondering if this is more an origin story for the Templars or the Order of Ancients as we see in Assassin's Creed Origins. We know from Assassin's Creed Origins that Greece and Rome, or members from Greece and Rome, played a big part in the organization of in the Order of Ancients, the ones who were trying to gather the pieces of Eden and use their power to rule the world. So I'm wondering if this story is going to be less about assassins and more about the organization of the Templars, and maybe even how the organization of that group was a lot more altruistic than they become. The Templars at this point are the evil mustache-twirling villains now, or at least are perceived as that by the assassins. So I'm wondering if this is going to tell the story of the first Templars and how the Templars came to be. And with the Spear of Leonidas being the first piece of Eden. Also, the fact that this game is set 300 years before Assassin's Creed Origins, I'm wondering how far after does this game take place? How far after does this game take place from the cataclysmic events from the first civilization? Are we going to see more newer ruins of the first civilization and have that be explained a little bit more? Is that something that this game is going to explore more than other games have, because it's so much closer to those events than we've been? Because up until now, Assassin's Creed Origins is the closest we've been. It's the furthest in time we have gone, but now we're going even further, 300 years before that. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a major thing for this. And finally, just because the name, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it being set in ancient Greece, I'm wondering if this game is going to have any parallels of Homer's Odyssey, of the Odyssey of the return trip from for Greece from Troy back home, and all the things they go through, and then they sail on, just like the epic poem Ulysses tells you what happens. So I'm wondering if there's going to be any references to that, if there's going to be any kind of connection to that ancient story to Homer's Odyssey. But we'll find out. And it comes out, again, October or November, like late October or somewhere in October or November, this game is coming out. So we don't have that long to wait, which is also kind of a worrying thing since Ubisoft took 2 years off of releasing an Assassin's Creed game to work on Assassin's Creed Origins, and now a year later, we're jumping into a new Assassin's Creed game. So it's kind of worrying that they're going to be jumping back into that pattern of just releasing a game every year, and those games becoming more and more lackluster, more and more hype, or less and less hype for them is going to be coming with them. But that's something we'll only be able to see in time. So with that is all of my highlights for E3 2018. All the games that I really like, all of the moments that really stood out to me, all of the games I'm excited for. If I had to pick a game that I am most excited for what was shown at E3 2018, I have to say I'm really excited about Fallout 73. I was even playing it a little recently, and I was like building up my settlement, and I always kind of set things up as normal as I can. I try not to get too crazy, but I was literally setting up like an outside patio with an outside table and some chairs. I was like, you know, it's going to be really awesome hanging out with other Fallout players, like in the game, in our camps or settlements or whatever we're going to be building. So yeah, if I had to pick a game that I'm most excited for with from E3 2018, it's going to be Fallout 73. I'm super excited for that game. But all of the games I mentioned, that's all the games that really stood out for me that I'm super excited about. I'm still excited about Cyberpunk 2077, even if it's going to be a first-person shooter. I'm excited about, tentatively excited about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't know. I feel like right now, if I play another Assassin's Creed game right now, I'm gonna vomit. But maybe by the time we get to its release, I'll have gotten over that and I'll be good to go. Play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But all of the games I mentioned, super excited about. But now I want to hear from you. I want to know, what games were you most excited about in E3 2018? Let me know in the comments and follow me on all the internets. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it around so others can join in the conversation. Make sure, if you want to read my written reviews of games, Marvel TV shows, and movies, go to my website, www.tradeguillotine.com, and share this around so other gamers can join in the conversation. And subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching. Have fun.